Welcome back, everybody. This is Too Much Movie Night, the podcast where we dive headfirst into the silver screen and rate our films on the Too Much meter. Join your hilarious host Brian, JJ,
get in the fucking car,
and Steve.
Is that my daughter in there?
Follow along as we dissect, debate, and dish out cinematic hilarity that'll leave you rolling in the aisles. Buckle up, grab your popcorn, and get ready for a movie podcast that's packed with laughs, entertainment, and a few bad jokes. This is Too Much Movie Night. What?
Whoop, whoop.
We are back with our thriller week. What's up, guys? How we doing?
Yeah. What is up, jits? Everything's good over here.
All good in the hood.
Cool in the school.
We're living on cloud nine.
Nice.
Cloud 9. Nice.
It's higher than last week. You weren't you on like 7 or 8 last week?
Yeah, I think it was like 6, 7, or 8.
Six.
Six.
Dude, you are jumping places, man.
Hey, I'm telling you, the only way is up here. Future's so bright.
Oh, my God. Oh, man. Well, everybody, if this is your first time listening, thanks for hopping on. We're doing our thriller week. I got the win. We spun our wheel last week, and Mystic River came up as a W.
Mystic River.
JJ, it's okay. You won just a couple weeks ago.
I did. I can't be too mad.
You got your win for this year, you know?
Yeah.
Quit being greedy. Oh, well, this being my movie, I've obviously seen it before, but we went into this. What was y'all's first impression with the movie?
I think this is the second time that I've ever seen this movie. Actually, I watched it for the first time a couple years ago, and you know, it is a thriller for sure. It definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat most of the time. I will say that it has its slow points, but for the most part, you're glued to the screen. I like it.
Right, I didn't realize this was over a 2-hour movie until logging in, filling out the show doc.
Yeah. So this was my first time watching this movie, and I don't know why. I think it's like one of those movies that like I thought that I've seen before, and so I just never went back or decided to go watch it again or anything like that. And I don't know if it's because of the title. I remember like there's a title like Mystic Pizza, and maybe there was another movie called like Mystic or something like that before. I'm not sure. But yeah, I never saw this. I never saw this movie before. As far as a thriller, maybe, I don't know, but we'll definitely talk about that a little bit more. But yeah, it was an interesting movie. So
it's like an episode of SVU is the best way to describe it.
Yes, yeah, that's very a slower episode of SVU.
Yeah, this being a Clint Eastwood movie, you definitely I got feels of that for sure. Like he likes his slower dialogue. That's for damn sure. Stuff like you've seen in several of his movies, but yeah, we could have sped up some of this shit. As we'll get into, was it Kevin Bacon's wife? All the scenes with her and her chattiness,
Oh right,
dude, that's just okay. I don't really think that was. I don't think that actress was in the movie until the very end. Like you never saw her full face, obviously, but I don't think that was her. Whenever you saw like the phone conversations, I'm pretty sure that was like Clint Eastwood, like with a blonde wig on.
That's what I was thinking. I swore I saw some 5 o'clock shadow, fucking like Kevin Bacon, some lipstick.
The first time you see her, and he's like, I know you're in New York. I can hear the traffic, and it's like, okay, that looks like a man, but that's just me.
That's the weirdest part of the movie.
Crazy.
But Steve, it makes sense that you never saw this. Pulling up, budget for this was only $25 million. Opening weekend, they didn't even crack $100,000.
Really?
This was I guess it just wasn't advertised, which I try to figure out where I remember watching this movie on Netflix, or I guess I say on Netflix, through Netflix back when they were mailed to your house. I had this movie come in the mail. I watched it, fell in love with it, but I don't know what got me to put it in the queue. Hell, it might have been a movie you put in the queue, Steve, and you went on deployment, and it just arrived one day and I threw it in the DVD player. Who knows?
Yeah, I remember because this was 2003, something like that, right? Is when it came out. So it probably didn't hit the DVDs till like 04 or something, and I want to say like or shortly thereafter. But I remember like you and Mom watching it, and then you guys telling me, "Hey, this was a good movie. You know, you got to watch this." And for some reason I remember that, but I don't ever remember going back to it, right, or anything like that. Interesting. But that's always stuck with me that you guys told me that. So yeah, it may have been something that I put in there.
Yeah, despite it being so low, like it's a hell of a cast. We've got Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, Kevin Bacon, Lawrence Fishburne was in here. We got Emmy Rossum, like crazy good. I mean, this was my introduction to Kevin Bacon, I'm pretty sure. Me being 12-ish when this movie came out, I think this was probably my first Kevin Bacon movie, you know. I got to check out Footloose at one point in my life, but that was not the entrance. Sean Penn, honestly, outside of his episodes in Friends, I can't think of anything that I saw him in before this either.
Right.
I think the only other movie that I saw before this with Sean Penn was I
Am Sam.
What's the one? I mean, that is honestly the only other movie that I can think of that I've seen before this with Sean Penn in.
Yeah, that's funny. Sean Penn, I've always, I mean, I can't say that I've always been a Sean Penn fan, but man, he acted his ass off in this movie. I mean, he did. He obviously did. I mean, he won
100%.
He won He won the Oscar for it, right? Both him and Tim Robbins won Oscars, right?
Yeah, you got for supporting Robbins did.
Yeah, so it was like, wow, a movie that two guys won an Oscar from, but that I just never really paid attention to or went back to. Yeah, so
do those awards really mean anything? Really? You know,
maybe not so much anymore as they used to, but yeah.
Y'all ready for the trailer?
Let's do the trailer.
Let's get it.
Hey, Divine. What you looking at?
The old neighborhood.
There are places that make us who we are.
Save!
I used to play on this street when I was a kid.
Really?
Moments that give us hope.
Do not make her laugh. Where have you been?
Feelings that make us question our beliefs. Fears that trigger our darkest emotions.
It's my daughter's car.
He sent my daughter in there! He sent my daughter in there! Yeah! Oh, God!
For a couple seconds on Saturday, she looked at me like she was preparing to never see me again.
You don't think I'd have hurt her, do you?
She isn't hurt, Brendan. She's dead.
I loved her so much.
I know in my soul I contributed to your death, but I don't know how.
I'm gonna find him before I'm pleased. I'm gonna find him and I'm gonna kill him.
You know what I was thinking about? Vampires. Maybe one day you wake up and you forget what it's like to be human. Maybe then it's okay.
You're not making any sense.
Sometimes I think all of this is just a dream, you know?
How about you tell us what really happened Saturday night, Mr. Boyle? And why's your wife acting like she's afraid of you, huh?
Everyone is weak. Everyone but us. You could rule this town.
We bury our sins here.
Run! Run! Dave! Run! Run! We washed him clean.
In 1975, friends Jimmy, Sean, and Dave are playing hockey in a Boston street. After deciding to write a mural of their names on a patch of wet concrete, two men, one claiming to be a police officer, kidnap Dave and sexually abuse him for 4 days until he escapes. 25 years later, Jimmy is an ex-convict and neighborhood convenience store owner. Sean is a detective with the Massachusetts State Police whose pregnant wife Lauren recently left him, and Dave is a blue-collar worker continually haunted by the abduction and rape. Jimmy and Dave are related by marriage, Dave's wife Celeste and Jimmy's second wife Annabeth being cousins.
So we've got this is a heavy scene that we get right off the bat.
It goes it's pretty kind of chill and nice and easy going, and then it just takes a deep, deep fucking dive down into the darkness.
I mean, wow. Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. It was just like it was. I mean, when you have an opening scene of a pedophile and child rape, is like, God, it's
where are we going with this? Who picked this movie?
I mean, I was thinking, it's like when I was watching it, I was like, man, this is like pedophile 101. like how to be a pedophile, right? It's just like you just pretend to be a cop and tell kids to get in the car. Oh God, that is terrible.
Steve, was this? You'll probably remember better than Brian or I will. In 2003, was this kind of in the height or kind of on the trailing end of the Catholic scandals of molestation and stuff like that?
Yeah, this was like all this stuff was sort of had just recently come out.
Okay. So I actually saw that in the book it wasn't a Catholic priest, but because of all of that was going on at this time period, they actually changed that character purposely, more so kind of folding into all that bullshit that was going on in that time period. Well, it still is going on, but
which is crazy.
That was like a very deliberate, just jab at it immediately.
Yeah, the cross
that's
there.
all you see is the ring, and then he turns around, and it's like, yeah, that boy's about to get touched.
Yeah.
So I guess, Steve, with this being your first time viewing, when did your senses start going off? At what point did you realize, oh, this isn't a cop, this is turning poorly? Did you have it right off the bat, or?
So it was honestly, it was when when the kid walked to the door and he saw this the shit in the back seat, right? That's when I was like, okay, wait, this isn't a cop, right? This cop wouldn't have that shit in the back seat. And that's when I was like, okay, but I didn't know, it was like, where's he taking it? What's he doing? That really didn't click to me. But then I was like, but something is fucking really kind of fishy here, especially when you see the priest, just like JJ said, when the priest kind of reaches his hand over and you see which was just an odd move anyway, to do. And so, but yeah, when you see that, so I was like, okay, yeah, this is going south really fast. I mean, not just the south side of Boston.
Yeah, it's not in the southeast, but no, I think I agree with you. The first time I watched it, it was really seeing the back seat was what threw the first red flag. Now watching it, obviously knowing what had happened, I noticed that he kept the badge covered with the handcuffs. He had the handcuffs covering the badge a little bit, so that way you saw the badge and you saw the cuffs, and it was no cop is actually gonna cover his badge like that. I don't think they technically can.
I love the parents' reaction. Wait, what writing was on there? Nothing? What the hell?
Well, I found it odd that because they were like, well, it was a cop, Dad. It was a cop. And but yet the dads were right away, oh, this is wrong. They took him. Y'all were just y'all were doing criminal shit, and the cops took him somewhere. It was like, well, no, they're gonna take him to his house, Dad. It was I would have kind of thought the same thing. But I thought that it was maybe and obviously the parents didn't overreact, or those dads didn't overreact because they were right, but it almost seemed legitimate in a way, right? Of yeah, the cop took Davey to his house to go talk to his mom, that was, and they were like, what? Why'd the cop drive? The cop drove him over to his house? It was like, yeah, so.
Maybe cops didn't do their job in this part of the neighborhood, so that's the alarm itself. Oh wait, they're doing their job? Oh, something's fucking up. We got some shit going down, guys.
Those Savage brothers were fucking hilarious.
Fucking reckless, man.
Man, they were crazy. But yes. So I found it interesting. Anyway, go ahead.
I was gonna say. So then, I don't know if I noticed so much the wolf sounds and the like when he's running through the woods and all that. You know, I was just wondering, your first time viewing this, were you locked into that? Did you think they're, you know, I guess just chasing?
So I didn't think that. So I didn't think that a monster was chasing everything. I mean, I was like, okay. I was surprised. I wish they'd kind of show that, like how he escaped, but it was just like, no, please, not again. It hurts. And then all of a sudden, boom, he's running through the woods. Well, he's like, okay, what the fuck happened? How did you get away? How did you escape? I was curious about that. I didn't find it necessarily confusing because, but I was thinking that they're kind of like identifying those guys as big bad wolves kind of thing, right? So that that they were, you know, these sort of, maybe some monsters type things,
Predators.
you know, but yeah, if anything, and yeah, truly. But that's kind of what I was getting the sense of. But I just found it odd too, because then, you know, 4 days it goes by, right? Obviously, they're saying it was 4 days. He was there, and he gets back, and now everybody's at the house. The cops are there, and like one of the dads, well, it looks like damaged goods to me.
Yeah, what the fuck is that comment?
It's like, you're a cold-hearted bastard, man. It's like, and what are you talking about? Damaged goods? What? It's like, oh, somebody wrecked that boy. That's too bad. It's like, shit.
I didn't notice that the first time I watched it, and then the second time I was like, wait, hold up, what the fuck? And just kind of like was.
Did he really say that? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you're talking about a 12-year-old kid here. Like, holy
Lost cause.
shit.
Nobody's going to want that anymore. Wait, what?
All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this movie.
Yes.
Jimmy's daughter from his first marriage, Katie, plans to run away to Las Vegas with Brendan Harris, a boy from a family Jimmy despises, whom she has been secretly dating. One night, Dave sees Katie and her friends at a local bar. That same night, Katie is murdered, and Dave comes home bloodied and injured. He tells his wife that he fought off a mugger and possibly killed him. Sean and his partner, Whitey Powers, investigate the murder while Jimmy, distraught at his daughter's death, conducts a separate investigation using his neighborhood connections.
So I've got to ask, Steve, you being a little bit more experienced with meeting people, I've always felt like Whitey was like a jokey name, like a nickname. I guess Whitey's like an actual name. Like people get born with the name Whitey?
So I don't know anybody named Whitey, but maybe it's like one of those names that has like kind of faded from acceptance. Yeah, you know, in polite society, you know, to call a kid Whitey.
Well, I love that Fishburne was the freaking Whitey. You know, like
yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, but
literally the widest name ever.
But yeah, I don't know anybody named Whitey, and yeah, even in the Navy, like we wouldn't even give anybody that call sign because
that's too much. Can't do that.
Oh shit!
Oh, man. But we get our introduction to the old three, the guys now grown up. And honestly, I thought they nailed the casting. I thought all three of these guys fit in pretty well for the different, you know, type of guy we had. You know, you got the Jimmy's a little rough around the edges, hot fuse, obviously. Sean's the responsible one, listens to his mom and dad. And then you've got the poor kid, Dave. If you look at the concrete.
Right?
Da.
Struggling to make it through life. But
man, that dude, it just like, you know, you felt bad for him. Even like him walking his kid, you just knows like, all right, yeah, this dude's, he's still fucked up, you know, or whatever. Yeah. However, 30 years later, this dude is still fucked up. And I found myself just really kind of feeling bad for him. You know, and I've really read a lot about, or I mean, I've read some stuff about that, like Michael Keaton was supposed to play the role of Sean, right? So he was supposed to be the cop, but at some point, right after doing like a lot of reads and stuff like that, he was like, you know, he got into some kind of argument with, like, heated argument with Clint Eastwood, and left. And then a week later, Kevin Bacon, you know, signs on. So
sizzled his way in.
Yeah, and so I found nice, crispy, but that I was curious, and I could not ever find anything about what their argument was about. But I was really kind of trying to dig into like what was there so much of a heated argument that you're going to leave this movie, and
right.
And I do think that Michael Keaton probably would have done a fucking great job. And he's kind of a powerhouse with the stuff at this time too, and I think he would have been fantastic in that role too.
See, I don't think so. I don't think this movie would have been as good if Michael Keaton would have been in there, because it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, he has some serious roles, but even in his serious roles, he seems to always throw like just a little bit of comedy in there and just kind of tries to make it funny. I think Kevin Bacon like hit Sean like right on the head. Like he nailed this part 100%. And I don't think this movie would have been as good if you wouldn't have had a depressed cop in it.
See, I just don't know if he necessarily matched that role of a depressed cop, where I think that Michael Keaton probably could have brought more of that, especially like if you see some of the stuff that he's done recently, that Dope Sick on Hulu, and where he's such. I mean, I think that he could be engrossing with some things, and it probably would play a little bit more depressed. Because I found myself like really wondering, like throughout the movie, like, well, what the fuck is wrong with Kevin Bacon and Sean? Why is his wife like hooking up with somebody else in New York or wherever she is, and because when he asked her on the phone, hey, well, is he there? And and so it's like, is he there with you? And so it's like obviously his wife left him for some reason. And it never really kind of explained any of that type of stuff.
I automatically go back to the age-old detective. What's the word I'm looking for? Stereotype. Where here's
just a workaholic throwing myself into work and ignoring.
Yeah, doing nothing but work all the time. Doesn't pay attention to the family life. Wife finally had enough and left him. Yeah. 3/4 of his paychecks going to alimony and child support, and now he spends the other quarter on a shitty apartment and alcohol.
I feel like he definitely gives me more of that straight edge vibe though than I feel like Michael Keaton would have given. Michael Keaton I think he seems more like the kind of cop that would bend the rules to make sure that he got his objective done, whereas I feel like Bacon had a little bit more of I'm gonna go by the book no matter what. Outside of that, he probably should have pulled himself from the case, being as he was a little closer to Jimmy than he let on. But they weren't buddies, so I guess all right. But we've got Katie, another minor movie in a bar. What in the world? Am I just missing out on something? I guess I didn't really try to get into bars pre-21, but is this just something I missed out on? I could have just been walking into bars, dancing on the tables and shit.
I mean, how old was she? They say 16? 19. Oh, yeah, 19.
Emmy Rossum was 16 when they.
Oh, really? She played a 19-year-old, huh?
But she played a 19-year-old, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember, she's 19. Oh, he's gonna. And when Whitey says, he's gonna have a hard time with that one, when she died. But I found that odd too. Not only so, here's this, and again, I've only been to Boston a couple times. Never really been to the south side of Boston to see the local bars where some dudes are in there watching baseball, bellied up to the bar drinking, and then 3 chicks roll in, start playing music, and with 10 seconds we're fucking dancing on the bar, right? It was like, what the fuck just happened here? How did this just turn into fucking Coyote Ugly? We're just sitting here watching fucking a baseball game at a bar. Like, what happened?
The only thing I could think is like Jimmy hanging around with the Savage Brothers. They have like a little mob kind of thing going on, and I'm thinking his name kind of carries a little bit of weight throughout the movie. I mean, or throughout the neighborhood. Excuse me. Like, they're obviously still in Southie. Their name is known. She's known as Jimmy's daughter. So,
and clearly you're allowed to murder right outside the bar. So rules must not really apply right here on the Mystic River.
Right. I mean, he obviously. My first thought is the store is a front The convenience store is obviously a front for some shit. So something's going on in the background, and people in the neighborhood know. So if Katie wants to go out and drink, guess what? You card her, you get a broken arm, or you get a broken leg, or maybe you just go floating down the Mystic River.
And then also, Katie had to freaking work at 6 a.m. the next morning. I guess that's why they're on the table. They must have did shot. Just we're gonna be home by 2 o'clock for sure. But like, what the hell, girl?
Well, okay, Brian, you remember how it was at 19. You could go out drinking all night long and wake up at 6:30 in the morning and be like, let's go.
Yeah, this is true.
We're ready to go. Now you have like 4 beers and you wake up at 6 and you're like, oh my God, the sun is so loud.
Fucking hangovers. Oh man.
Yeah, but it was that I thought that bar scene was just kind of weird, and then the way Dave was looking at her too, like it was like, yeah, like him and his buddy, like, oh, who that girl, it's like, yeah, I've known her since she was little,
and then he doesn't follow up. He stops there. Like that left it creepy. I get they're trying to play it up that this could be Dave, he could do it, but like. Say, and that's why you shouldn't be staring at her asshole. Just something. Like, don't just leave it with, noticing she was a little girl. Like, no, man. Granted, you didn't say it that creepy, but still.
I think he did. Maybe he did.
I mean, it was definitely. If I would have been sitting next to Dave at that point, I would have been like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
yeah. His whole thing, though, like when he came into the house and, and his wife was... he wakes her up or whatever, and he's just like, I did the bad thing, or what, and just, then he has like that slash and the knife wound, and I really never, I guess, with this movie, and I saw how it was trying to portray, but I really never thought that he killed Katie. Honestly, I just, and I do see how they were trying to make it seem like that, and play him as the bad guy, and especially with the wife, I never saw it in the paper, and shit like that, and he was just, but it's just as odd as he was anyway, with it was late, and not really telling. It seemed like well, you're not really telling the truth, but
why not tell her? Yeah, you might have killed a guy, but like, it's a pedophile. Like it's not. Saying murder's warranted here, but like if you're going to be doing something, get in trouble for beating somebody up, I think this is going to be one of the better things to get in trouble for.
Right. Now, and I don't know what the timeline of this movie is, right? From the time that they found Katie, right, or, the car that was called in until, spoiler alert, right? Fast forward until they kill Dave. Right?
I want to say it's less than a week. It's only a handful of days.
Right. So where the fuck was this pedophile guy parked? They say that he was like found him behind a store or something.
Behind the bar.
They found him behind McGill's.
In the car, right behind the bar.
No, he used his car to move the body.
That's right.
Behind the bar.
So behind the bar. So this dude is sitting there rotting for a week behind this bar, and nobody smells anything. Nobody fucking just like, oh, that's just the trash right there. Fucking smells like decomposing bodies.
You never been to Boston? It smells like shit.
Or whoever goes to take the trash out from this bar didn't see this body.
Dave's a big guy. I bet he drug him out there pretty far. One thing I did find weird too is the main crime scene happens like the cars on the street, and then it's an abandoned zoo. Never really heard of an abandoned zoo in an enclosure. They've got like a bear pit and stuff. I think it'd be cool as shit to go walking around and go check it out. But yeah, first place you want to go hide a body. Let's go to the abandoned zoo there and go throw it in the old shark tank, or the koala exhibit.
So, go ahead, JJ.
Well, I was gonna say that's, to me, that was kind of like another like leading point to like maybe Dave. Because when he's running away from his captors as a child, you hear the wolves howling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where the fuck in Boston would you have wolves?
The zoo.
At a zoo.
And so, I mean, like, this is an old abandoned zoo. Maybe they had wolves at the zoo next to the bear pit. And why not go hide a body at the old zoo where you technically died and lost your dignity as well?
But
I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking that, but I was just kind of like, interesting.
Maybe. But I would agree with you, Brian, that because I was like, whenever like they brought up the bear pens and stuff like that, because they kept calling it like Penn Park and stuff, like Penn Park. So I was like, hey, what the hell is Penn Park? So I Googled it. Well, it doesn't come up as Penn Park. It comes up as some like Franklin Zoo Park or something like that. That was actually a fucking park, like in the early 1900s, where they just had like bears and badgers and shit in these pens, and and it was just free. Like people could just walk in and walk through it and stuff like that. And then, like later on, the city basically like took it over because it was kind of like falling under in like 1930s or something. So then they basically took over some new areas and enclosed it and started charging people to come in, but they left those old pens out outside of the fence, and just to go into ruin. So they're like the bear and badger pits or whatever they were. So bad. And now they're fucking concrete and iron bars have rusted, and they're probably more dangerous than anything else happened in that fucking park. But I just found out I had never heard of that shit, and I was fucking fascinated by it. It's like, wow, there's bear pens that are just open. Right? You can just go fucking like, it's amazing.
Yeah, I want to know the ratio of like hands lost per capita at the bear pens, because like that some kid was like, I'm gonna give him some food, and then
you got a dry erase board in the front. Days since last arm lost.
Yeah,
doesn't get above 12.
There's a lot of people in Boston called Lefty.
I mean, there were no names left for Ray Harris, so I mean, he could have taken Lefty.
Just Ray.
Just Ray.
Oh. So JJ, you haven't seen this before. We've got Sean Penn's big dramatic scene. Like, that's my daughter. I almost found myself laughing. It went on so long. It was great acting. He's great in this, but my ADHD, I can't last through some of these repeat scenes where they're doing it over and over. Where were you through this?
Okay, I'll be 100% honest. I mean, yeah, I will say at first I was like, holy shit, this is heartbreaking. Like, this is so sad. But that mole on his neck, I could not look away from that. And the whole time he's just fighting, and there's like 40 fucking cops on this dude holding him back, and it's just mole is all I could focus on.
It was so bad. I thought it was a tattoo at one point, maybe.
I did, so it, very first time I saw it, I was like, I mean, that's a weird prison tat to get, but I mean, you do you, buddy. And then the more I kept staring at it because I couldn't look away, yeah, it was for show, just a mole, and it was there. I mean, that thing, that won the Oscar for him, was just, yeah.
Man, that's to take over.
I was the same way, JJ. I was like, that's all I could I mean, throughout the whole movie, it's almost like the Christian Bale thing with the fucking thing on his eye. Like, once I see it, I can't not unsee it. And it's just like, that's the only thing I can fucking focus on, no matter how good the acting is or anything like that, and how dramatic you're going to be. Is like, I just can't see anything else but that. Oh, man.
And you see the veins in the mole pop out when he gets angry. Fucking nasty.
It's just bad. But yeah,
I mean, like, I don't have any children. I've never lost a child. I don't know what that pain is like, and God forbid anybody has to feel that pain. But like, Sean Penn is not that big of a dude. I don't think he needs all of those cops to keep him from just going batshit crazy.
Well, I think it was trying to show the love for a father and her daughter. Like, you get that super strength when your kids are in trouble.
Yeah,
Steve,
but I mean, Sean. All Sean does is like, oh, he's okay. It's his daughter. He's okay. Oh, and then he just shuts his mouth and he's just continuing on with his yelling. Like, I think most cops would be like, I don't give a fuck who you are. You're on the ground right now and you're in cuffs.
Crazy is number 3.
Crazy is number 3. Yes.
Sean discovers that Katie recognized her killer and that the gun used to kill her, a .38 special revolver, was also used in a liquor store robbery in 1984 by Just Ray Harris, the father of Brendan. Harris has been missing since 1989, but Brendan claims he still sends his family $500 monthly. Brendan feigns ignorance about Ray's gun. Whitey despects Dave, who keeps changing the story about his hand being injured. Dave continues to behave erratically, which upsets Celeste to the point that she leaves their home and tells Jimmy she suspects that Dave might be involved in the murder.
Can we talk about the awkward scene at I guess it's a wake at Jimmy's house?
Sitting on the back porch?
No, well, before that, even when his father-in-law shows up.
Oh, God, that dude he was like an ass. And I was glad that like Jimmy sort of put him in his place. Like, hey, there's a big fucking difference here, bro. Right. Yeah, you don't know what I'm fucking going through. You think you
he tries to make up for himself and be like, I told Annabelle she's marrying a real man, an old school man. I would have been like, well, this old school man is about to beat the fuck out of you, old man. Like, right? You need to pipe the fuck down.
Quit kissing it.
Did not like that dude at all.
I really like Jimmy right in that scene for just like standing up to him, just being like, no, this is like nowhere close. Your daughter died in her sleep. My daughter was murdered. You can get fucked. Like, he just comes out swinging on him and shuts him down immediately. I was like, hell yeah. But yeah, major asshole right there. And that whole little party, I mean, I don't know. I would think if you lost a loved one, like, let's give them a couple days to be alone.
It was
like,
quick.
Here's a casserole, but no, everybody's over there drinking and the kids are being annoying as shit on the piano. Like,
but maybe that's like I don't know. Is that the difference in? And I guess I'm assuming that they're Catholic, right? In this Boston community, they're going to this, and all
yeah. I
this
mean,
stuff.
they're definitely Irish Catholic, and
right. So they are. That's what they do, right? It's this wake right after everybody's there being supportive and not giving them space, right? Because maybe that's the worst. You don't give them space because they give them space, they're just going to get depressed. Well, no, let's all keep them occupied, type stuff, you know. And
let's smother people. That's exactly what they want.
That's what they need.
That's why Jimmy's out on the freaking porch, bawling his eyes out.
Let's smother like grieving people with alcohol, and like, here, this will help your problems. Thanks. But yeah, then Dave's like, you know what? I got to get out of here. He's obviously going through some shit because he's fucked up.
And I think that's kind of like that feeling that I kind of talked about with Clint Eastwood movies. That back porch scene with Jimmy and Dave is one of those ones I felt a lot. Gran Torino's a movie I think of a lot when I think of Clint Eastwood, and just how he allows pauses in conversation to really build up the emotion and the feeling that you get within that scene. Because my personal preference, would I have liked to see that speed up a little bit? Yes. But at the same time, though, I felt the dramatic feeling that you would get from how bummed Jimmy is. Like, this dude's like bawling his eyes out, and Dave's like, "You want me to leave? Like, what? Am I hanging out next to you?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, are we friends still?
I just love that thing. Like they obviously don't talk every day. Like, they probably talk more often than obviously the rest of the group and Sean do. But I mean, he just like walks out, lights up a cig, and then Jimmy's like, "Hey, Dave." And then he's like, "Oh, shit." Like, turns around, he's like, hey, man. How's it going? And then, he starts crying. He's like, "You want me to leave?" I'm going to leave. This is not my thing.
So for me, right, what we're going to talk about like what was just the last reading, right, at number 3 here, where they discover Kate recognized the killer, right? Hi, I heard somebody say hi, interviewing that old lady. They said hi, okay, and then killed with a 38 and then that was used in the liquor store robbery. They find that out by going to that liquor store, seeing they talk to that owner. Which, and I don't know if you guys know this, the liquor store owner, who that guy is. That's Eli Wallach. And Eli Wallach is the guy that plays the Tuco from Good, Bad, and the Ugly, who was he was the ugly guy in Good. So that was like the first, and when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, that's fucking Tuco. And knowing that him and Clint Eastwood played in Good, Bad, and the Ugly together, and so that Clint Eastwood cast him in that role of that liquor store owner, I thought was great. And I think that's the first time that they've done anything since Good, Bad, and the Ugly, that together. So I thought that was awesome.
And that's the hard thing with movies like this, because granted we had a star-studded 5-6 cast members, but outside of that, we didn't have a lot of, I guess, suspects, a lot of other characters to okay, who could it be? Because it's not going to be some random fucking uncle or some dude that got ripped off by Jimmy. It's going to be these 12 people that we're working with here. So yeah, narrowing it down, and also knowing that Brennan passed his polygraph, But
right, and that's why, although they still kept trying to push as Dave and Celeste even did it, I was just like, no, it was that kid.
I think they could have definitely made it more of a mystery, because she was obviously well known in the neighborhood because she worked at the store and everything like that. She knows a lot of people. She sees a lot of people. I'm sure everybody knows her name. Because, she's a popular person. It's Jimmy's daughter. So, I think they could have played that more as, let's throw in some additional suspects instead of just focusing on 2 people right off the bat.
Yeah, trim out some of Dave's grief, because obviously they're laying it on so thick, it can't be him. And like you said, JJ, there's only a handful of people else that it could have been. So... Not that I think I don't feel like I thought it was the brother right off the bat the first time I watched it, but going back, yeah, you see him lay it down. There's only so many fucking people it could be without it being a horrible story, without some random person. So yeah, give me less of Sean's fucking wife, give me less of Dave's trauma, and give me a few more people, a few more story arcs in here,
Yeah, the second viewing of this, it was definitely you see that small introduction of the Mute Harris kid, and immediately you're just even when he's walking into the store and his brother's giving him sign language and he points over there, it's okay, something's going on with him. Immediately something's going on with him. But then the second viewing, you're yeah, he fucking did it. It's him, 100%. Obviously that, but I don't know, it was just, there were too many. There weren't enough parts for this kid that you knew that it was going to be a small player in this movie that committed the crime.
For sure.
Well, and I'm kind of jumping to I'm trying to jump into the end a little bit. I don't mean to do that too much, but I think for me, that's what I mean, and because of that, right? The not as many story arcs or whatever else that they could have done with this movie. And I'm going to say, and having, I think, identified it, because they were laying it on thick about, Brendan and his little brother, and how much he doesn't want, he signs for his little brother and he doesn't have to, and he does this. And then, the little brother is, I hate mom, I only love you, and you're the only one I like. And, right. Yeah. So,
hey, no accents.
Sorry, that was a Philadelphia accent there.
Boston. Yeah. Oh yeah, you were doing Philadelphia. You should have been doing Boston. But that they, I think that they played that up, which led me to some disappointment in the end. Do I want to? I don't. Maybe I'll say this. I'll say this till we get there. All right.
No, you good. We all ready to get to the bar?
Oh yes, the bar.
Right now?
Yeah. Let's grab Dav or Da. Head to the bar.
Jimmy and company invite Dave to a bar, get him drunk, and confront him while he is about to vomit. Jimmy admits to Dave that he killed Just Ray for implicating him in the liquor store robbery, which resulted in his imprisonment. Dave reveals to Jimmy that he did kill someone that night. He beat to death a child molester whom he found. Jimmy does not believe Dave and pulls out a knife. He promises to let Dave live if he confesses to Katie's murder. However, when Dave admits to killing Katie, Jimmy kills him and disposes of his body in the adjacent Mystic River. Meanwhile, after finding his father's gun missing, Brendan confronts his younger brother, Silent Ray, and his friend, John O'Shea, about Katie's murder. Brendan beats the two boys, trying to get them to admit their guilt, and then John pulls out Ray's gun and is about to shoot Brendan. Sean and Whitey, having connected the two boys to the murder, arrive, disarm, and arrest John and Ray.
Talk about scenes that went on too long. How long does it take to get Dave drunk? They pick him up middle of the day. They're not going to kill him until nighttime. Do you guys think you're going to get house for 8 hours? No! He's going to be throwing up all over himself, pissing on his shoes all the time.
Okay, let's think about this, though, Brian. This is a heavily traumatized person. Who
probably a drinker.
Who is a blue-collar worker.
Probably a drinker.
So he's got a very, very seasoned liver.
And, you know, he has his wife, Celeste. Celeste has just left him. She's done moved out. What is Dave doing? Is he just kind of like fucking walking down the street, hanging out, not doing much?
Honestly, it's kind of impressive that he's made it this far in life. Not necessarily that he's made it this far, but the type of life. Like, he's married. He has a wife. He has a kid. Like, as messed up as it seems like he is, he does seem well adjusted.
He's functional.
You know, with what he has, absolutely. Like, they very well could have given, what's his name? All these guys. They very well could have given Dave just a single guy, no kids, no wife, and that I feel like would have been just as believable because, like, fuck, how many people go through shit like that and are able to adjust?
I mean, what does Dave do? Does Dave work? What does he do?
So it never really goes into detail as far as to like what he does. The best I can figure is he probably is working the night shift somewhere.
Seems like a Monday worker.
Yeah, like a Monday through Friday rotation because he walks his son to school. He probably goes home, sleeps, maybe drinks a little bit, sleeps, picks his son up from school, and then like goes and plays t-ball, and then drinks heavily on the weekend.
And what the hell is Celeste doing during this time? Right, while he's fucking day drinking and sleeping, because she's not really out fucking like bringing home the bacon either. Working at the pet store. I don't fucking know what she's doing. It's like so.
I gotta say through this entire film, she is my least favorite character.
Oh, fucking hate her.
Like, yeah. I couldn't stand watching her.
I mean, Celeste, what happened to fucking stand by your man? Not fucking dime him out to your cousin because you think that he was
through sickness and health, through death and murder. It doesn't matter,
Right? Yeah, he told you he fucking hurt somebody. This some dude who tried to fucking mug him or whatever else, and now you'd be like, no, you killed her because you're an evil man. Well, what makes you think he's a fucking evil man? I don't know.
Well, it's weird. So he comes home, she doctors him up. Well, first off, she yells at him for being home at 3:00 in the morning, and then she sees him all bloody. And then she doctors him up, and then they just start making out.
They start making out weirdly, like when she's taking. You go shower and I'll take care of your clothes. It's like, wait, what?
What it's weird to think about is Dave probably learned kissing from that priest.
Oh shit!
I think he uses some of the same moves on the planet. Too much.
Oh,
too much.
No.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Too much.
Oh no.
Jesus Christ! I can't even concentrate anymore. Holy shit!
My mind didn't even fucking go. No.
It just passed through randomly.
Man.
Well, good night, everybody. It was a pleasure. We'll see you next week.
I don't.
Jesus Christ,
I don't know.
That was a fucking nightmare.
I don't know where to go from there.
Just get in the car, Steve. Just get in the car.
Just get in the car.
Get in the fucking car.
Holy
God.
shit!
Damn, Brian.
Man.
God, Jimmy definitely gives him the shit end of the stick, though. It's one of those like he wants him to admit it, and then turns I'm going to kill you unless you admit it, and then I'll let you go to the police. He's fucked. You know, it's catch-22. You're fucked. He's going to kill you regardless. Like,
right.
Oh, Dave, like you feel for him right there. As much of a simpleton as like just quit fucking lying, Dave.
That's what I'm saying, Dave. You fucking hey, I killed the body is right fucking there.
Right? I don't know why you just didn't run. Run. Show him the body.
Let's go see the fucking body with the dude that I killed. I'm going to show you right where he fucking is. I'm not fucking lying to you guys, right? Let me show, but defend yourself, bro, right? Stand up for yourself. Yeah. Don't just be like, well, oh, okay, I killed her. You know?
This is where I like really kind of, you know, connected with the Savage brothers. Because they were just like, fucking kill him already.
Kill him!
Like, I was like, dude, if he's gonna act like this much of a fucking pussy about this deal, just fucking kill him
end
already.
it. Just end it for him.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I don't disagree with you at all, Steve. I think, yeah, if I'm in Dave's position, like, even like, especially when I'm just fucking 3 sheets to the wind, I'm gonna be like, you guys want to go see dead child molester bodies? Let's go look at it. I'll show you where he's at. You're driving though. Like,
right. Carrying me, motherfucker.
I mean, and were those guys going shot for shot with Dave? Because he's fucking hammered. But the Savage brothers and Jimmy, obviously they can fucking hold their liquor. You know what I mean? If they're going shot for shot with them, man.
Or maybe he's going shot for shot with each brother. He's doing a shot with brother 1, then a shot with brother 2.
And then they're like throwing it behind their, pouring it in the fucking plant.
Well, I was gonna say that's where the bartender's in on it. They're like, hey, we're drinking vodka or tequila, like we're drinking clear liquids tonight. And he's getting liquor. We're getting water. We got to stay hydrated for this
Lou
fucking
from
murder.
Ocean's 8 slipping over there, watering down the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd get rid of him in the fucking Mystic. I mean, why the fuck you just throw him in the goddamn Mystic River? But, okay,
because
so...
otherwise, what would we name this movie if they didn't throw him in the river?
That's true. Southie. We just call it Southie.
Right.
The day in the life of a fucking Southie. I don't know. Maybe it's...
A day in the life of Dave.
That's right.
I will say
Dave's dilemma.
During Dave's interrogation scene, though, going back a little bit, I was like, yeah, you go, Dave. Like, you know, the cops are trying to pin this shit on him, and he is spot on and just throwing shit back in their face. Like, they're like, yeah, whose blood's in the trunk? And he's like, well, I don't know. My car was stolen last night.
That's right.
Whose blood was in the trunk? How about that Sprite, Sean? Like, at that point, I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, Dave, you go, dude.
Did he say, oh, and can you give me a sandwich too? He was
right, yeah.
like Dave's pulling out this little cocky attitude about shit, right? You're like, oh, give me a sandwich too, bitch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the shitty part. He's like, yeah, I'm hungover. I'm fucking like, I don't feel good. And Sean's like, oh, I'll get you a Sprite. And then he like opens the door and he's like, oh, so you're the good cop. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. You're about to get a Sprite. Like, get the Sprite and then drop the shitty comments. Like, come on. At least play the game a little bit. Get what you want.
That's the only guy on your side right now. Fishburne's coming after your ass.
Yeah, Whitey doesn't play.
Oh, man. We've got these two brothers coming in here, and oh, my God. You talk about a child-beaten scene. Woo! Brennan beat the shit out of his brother's friends. Like, he kept kicking, and oh, my God. I felt so bad for that little kid, despite, even if he was the murderer and killed her. Like, holy shit, man.
Dude, I mean, when Brendan fucking, like, goes in and sees that gun's gone, he is fucking pissed. You're right. He's pissed. I mean... You know, they just killed fucking Emmy. And I mean, I'd be pissed too if fucking dating Emmy and you fucking somebody like bumps her ass off. It's like, you know,
Vegas, get married.
Yeah, we were on our way to Vegas. He was gonna fucking hook up with Emmy Rossum the rest of his life. He was gonna fucking be a happy man, and fucking Silent Ray bumps her off, you know, and so he is fucking pissed. Yeah, he just goes to town on those kids, beats the ever living shit out of them.
So, Brian, since you're well, I don't know if Steve has any little brothers, but since you're the only one I know that has little brothers on this podcast, did you wish that you could do that at a point in time?
No? Absolutely, all the time.
Still to this day.
Oh yeah.
But I've got an 8 and 12 years difference between the two of them, so I always told myself that there was gonna be a limit as far as the punishment that I'd deal out. I gave them hell, absolutely, but I never punched them, and I never Bruce Lee kicked him. You know, maybe there was a small little kick here and there, but it was never anything I felt guilty about.
Well, I don't think Brendan feels guilty about this beating either, right? I mean,
I think it was brother.
This beating was fucking justified, absolutely. You know, I mean,
I do have one problem with this scene. He knows the gun is gone. He knows that they have the gun.
Yeah.
And so he beats the living shit out of him. And then when he's wailing on his brother and his friend comes in and just fucking drawing on him, he like acts like he's like so scared and so like, it's like, okay, dude, what the fuck did you expect?
Did you not see that coming? Come on.
Yeah. You knew they had the gun.
So. Yeah. You put 2 and 2 together. You figured it out first.
I think he thought that like maybe Silent Ray had the gun, and maybe even like hid it or like had it in his room somewhere, put it somewhere else, or maybe even they got rid of it in the Mystic River. He may have not have known that, right? Just like, yeah, maybe they got rid of it, but he knew that they fucking, especially when he's getting questioned about this 38 that your dad had, you know?
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
The next morning, Sean tells Jimmy that John and Silent Ray confessed to killing Katie as part of a prank gone wrong. Sean asks Jimmy if he has seen Dave, who's wanted for questioning in the murder of a known child molester. Jimmy does not answer, instead thanking Sean for finding Katie's killers, but remarks, "If only you'd be a little faster." Sean then asks Jimmy if he intends to send Celeste a monthly $500. Sean reunites with Lauren after apologizing for pushing her away, while Jimmy confesses what he's done to Annabeth. During a local parade, Dave's son Michael waits for his father. Sean sees Jimmy and mimics a gunshot at him with his hand, whereas Jimmy spreads his arms in a "can't help it" gesture.
Can't help
this movie ends, and then for some reason we continue for another 5 minutes. I thought the ending we got between Sean and Jimmy was fucking great. We go back to where it all began, Jimmy's house. They have this little back and forth where, you know, I wish he should have been faster, which, fucking Jimmy, would you wait 4 days your daughter was dead and you already go out and kill a guy because you just think that's who it has to be? Like, fuck, man. Have a little patience. A little bit.
Because his wife says, "I think he may have killed her," you know? So that was enough for Jimmy to say, "Yep, he did it. I'm going to fuck." And then I'm going to make him confess. All right,
yeah.
Not that he just confesses, but I'm going to make him confess, and
I mean, even the Savage Bros, like the Savage Bros say, like, man, these cops are on it. Like they're on it. Everybody we've questioned have already said they've talked to the cops about this.
So there's no faith lost in Boston PD here, or Massachusetts cop, whatever the fuck they were.
Even the Stadies,
the Stadies, man,
the Stadies,
the state police.
Yeah,
I don't respect them until they hit Mountie. You know, it's the only law enforcement. Dudley Do Right next week.
That's like a whole other country or something, Brian.
Yeah.
International movies. Dudley Do Right.
International.
Locked it in.
Oh, God.
Alyssa's gonna love herself some Brendan Fraser.
You think about it, like you listen to the 911 call. I mean, yeah, he slips up and he's like, "Oh, he wants to know her name," which. Like, I had to rewind back and listen to it a couple times to hear him, like, clearly say her name and not our
subtitles.
name. Yeah, I don't fucking do subtitles. But
But we don't even know. We don't even know if that was John and Silent Ray that made that phone call, because this shit happened at like 3 a.m. or 1 or 2 a.m. We don't know, right? That call didn't come until later on.
Hey,
so y'all are convinced that it was them that called the 911. How do we know? Because it could have. How do you know?
Because that's how they figure out it's the two boys, is because they know it's her, because they know it's a her. The only one that could have known it was a her were the people attacked, because they didn't know it was a girl because she was already in the cage.
They know it's somebody that she's
they know it's somebody she's comfortable with. There's a car with a lot of blood in it, or I think they say that there was a car with a body or something like that.
Well, if they would have called about the body, though, they would have known where the body was. They just called about the car, so that's how the cops connected.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if they knew about the body was a female, then they knew where the body was, so it had to.
I don't think the cops necessarily did. The cops connect that with the 911 call.
That was what I didn't get. Why did y'all not listen to the 911 call until an hour and a half into the movie?
How did Sean and Whitey know to go to Brennan's house?
Because so they had the 38 special already tracked down. Like, not tracked down as to where it was, but they knew whose gun it was, where it belonged to. And they listened to the 911 tape and was like,
this sounds like Silent Ray.
Well, it says, the gun obviously belonged to...
They knew that...
The Rays.
They knew that Katie knew her killer because the old lady, who doesn't go to the window in her nightgown, heard her say, hi.
JJ, that should have been your quote. Never go to the window after dark.
I never go to the window on my night clothes.
Missed opportunity.
But, so I don't know if those kids were there. Were they smart enough to know that? Or is it just like, I think they were just sort of like telling the truth about, no, it was a prank. But no, man, fucking, like, yeah, you had motive to fucking kill this girl. And...
Or let's take it a step further and infer a little more into this movie.
Ooh, a Steve
they
step.
wanted to scare her enough so it was a prank, but they did accidentally shoot her. But they didn't think about the fact that her getting a gun pointed at her in the middle of the night wouldn't be
like that.
More of a reason for her to fucking skip town.
And I love that. And like you said, Steve, give me that explanation. I think, honestly, I don't know if I ever noticed the prank comment until this last listen through, but because I think it's always been one of those, like, this is such a big reveal, like, you're so in shock that, oh my god, it was the little brother the whole time, it's not who I was looking at, that I think we try and just skip over this and clean it up, but yeah, it was a little sloppy there. We definitely could have, shut this down with a little bit more. This is a dark movie. Why can't it be a dark ending where the brother was malicious in going after her versus... we had all the suspense in this big long thing for it's just fucking accident. Gotcha.
It was a prank.
It's a little lazy. If you ask me.
Yeah, give me that in the movie, right? Like, yeah, hey, you know what? And it would have taken any longer, but like, hey, they confessed to killing her. The brother didn't want his brother to. Silent Ray didn't want Brennan to leave, and she was taking her away. Done. Right. All right. Good. That gives me the explanation. That gives me the motive. That gives me the tie-in. But not just like, it was an accident. It was a prank. Okay, we shot her. We killed her by accident, and then we thought we were gonna get in trouble, so we fucking dragged her to the bear pen and left her for dead. What?
Here we go. Brennan beats the shit out of John, turns around, gets the shit knocked out of him by his brother Silent Ray with the stick. Silent Ray kidnaps and holds his brother hostage as the cops come in with a shootout between him and Silent. Like, that's the ending that we could have had. Something a little bit more intense. So a final gunshot. Let's lay out Silent Ray, blast his brains on the back freaking headboard. Like, that's the shit where we were going.
Or he speaks. Yeah, I killed her. I didn't want you to leave. Okay, fine, good. And then have the cops shoot him dead. Good. Done.
You give him one line. He never speaks. He has one line, and then he takes the bullet to the head.
Yeah, I killed her. Boom. Done. Yes.
But
what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Instead, we have John holding the gun on the cops, and you notice that Whitey doesn't reach for his gun, but Sean does, and that's when the kid is like, John just goes, "Is that a cig?" And it's like, well, yeah. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with it? Like, you've been studying up firearms, dude? Like, what the fuck is going on in your mind?
Solve the case. That's the gun. That's the murder weapon.
Can I hold it?
Yeah. Can I see that?
So, yeah, after Jimmy gets the comment, like...
Pass the guns up front, kids. We gotta go.
But I think I really would have loved to, if, like, the whole comment about Jimmy paying Celeste a monthly $500, like, tying in the thing with Brennan and what he did with that family. I would have loved to see the movie end with just Jimmy walking down the road. But then we got this weird, awkward parade with a bunch of people, but not a bunch of people, and it's going on for a block, but not the other block. But fuck, I felt bad for Dave's kid. Like, that is the saddest person in this movie, is that kid just sitting up there defeated, playing baseball because his dad fucking makes him, and he's not even there. Not even fucking there. Like, oh, kid, cuts me
Right.
deep.
Because it's terrible.
Well, folks, this is the part of the pod you are waiting for, the part where we break down this movie on our Too Much Meter. And if this is the first time listening, you're asking, what the hell is a Too Much Meter? Well, our slice meter here, we grade our movies on a pizza, 8 slices, because that's the best thing to have on a movie night. And a 0-slice movie is going to be a really shitty movie, just a terrible one, usually a Steve choice. 0-slice movie is going to be beaten to death and thrown in a bear cage. And an 8-slice movie.
Shit.
Honestly, I'm struggling to find something great from this movie to compare an 8-slice movie. But you know what? It's a damn good movie. Just ask
Maybe planning to run away with Emmy Rossum. That's an 8-slice movie.
There we go. That is 8 slices right there.
Yep.
Well, guys, this was my movie, and so we don't have to decide which one of you goes first. Let me start us off.
What?
Ooh.
Okay. Interesting.
Shake it up. Steve will give you control over the end. You want to make sure you really hit that average hard.
To say the last word again.
Absolutely.
I guess I'm going second then.
Right in the middle, JJ.
And the penis in between us. Let's go.
Usual.
So this movie for me, this was one of the first thrillers that I saw. It was in a nice little box with, Misery was in there, The Village, these were all movies that I kind of fell in love with. Something suspenseful, something that made you think, gave you a little bit of a cliffhanger there at the end, something to look forward to, and that's what this movie gave you. I think this was my first taste of Clint Eastwood growing up. So seeing some of the movies that not necessarily he was acting in, but just some of the movies that he directed, we had some incredible performances. Sean Penn rocked it. Tim Robbins was awesome. Bacon, he did what he does best, sizzles in the pan. And this was it was outstanding. Now that I've really kind of had it, this is probably my 12th watch through here. So I think at this point I really am starting to struggle with some of the slower points in the movie, some of the things that I'm starting to wish were better, but this is still a good movie. This is a better than average movie, and a movie that I go to often. I love showing this to anybody who loves this genre, and quite frankly, hardly anybody's seen it, so it was a big part of me throwing it on the podcast, trying to share it with the world. With that, wrapping it all up, I want to give this movie a lot higher than I'm going to, but I need to be real with myself, make sure we take this meter appropriately, take out the nostalgia love. And I'm going to give it a 5-slice movie. Boom! JJ, what you got for us?
I gotta say, this was the second time that I've seen this movie. I only watched it once this week. I've only seen it one time before. That 1 + 1 = 2, in case any listener out here doesn't know how to do math. But I mean, the first time you watch it, it is suspenseful. It's great. I think, like I said earlier, you're glued to the screen. You want to figure out who the killer is. You want to figure out what the fuck happened. What did Dave do? Because it is pretty coherent that he does not kill Katie to begin with. So, I mean, you're kind of like, you want to see how the story unfolds. You're glued in. The second time around, it's like, yeah, I know what happens. Then that's about it. It's like Shutter Island, You watch it once, you're mind blown. You watch it twice, you're like, my mind's not that blown because it happened already. You know, it is a great movie. It is slow. It is. I do love Clint Eastwood's directing style, and I think this was really early on in seeing it. But I mean, I can't disrespect this movie at all. Sean Penn does do great acting. I can't stand Celeste, and she bothers me through the whole fucking movie. Celeste bothers me, and Jimmy's mole just stare at me the whole time, and I can't stand it. But I gotta give it 5.5.
Sweet.
Because it does leave you, questioning a little bit. It is a good, solid movie. I think it deserved a lot more attention when it first came out than it got. And yeah, 5.5 is my solid score.
5.5 slices.
Man, I am going to restate exactly what you guys said. But I'm gonna put it into my words because I think you guys are absolutely correct. The acting was fucking phenomenal, right? I mean, Sean Penn they deserved to win the Oscar for this. Tim Robbins, I hated Dave. I fucking hated him, throughout this whole movie. Him and Celeste were terrible people, terrible. But he did a great job acting, and he deserved to win the supporting actor Oscar for it too. I agree with that. But and to what JJ said too, I love Clint Eastwood movies. I like some of the details that he puts into it. Some of this stuff, all the stuff that goes into it. This movie, though, it left me wanting. Because like I say, I think for me, the first time watching it through, hour and 15 minutes. Not that I was done with it, but I was like, okay, yeah, I saw this kid was the killer. They'd been setting this up, and so now I'm just got to watch Dave's depression and everything else unfold, and Jimmy go down the rabbit hole, and he's gonna kill Dave because of this shit. I knew it was gonna happen, so I was just sort of found myself waiting for this to unfold throughout the rest of the movie. But I mean, it's a 4 slicer for me. It's right there with an average movie for me. On a time that, like, yeah, there was some questions that I had, some things that didn't make sense to me. And so, yeah, it's right there with me. I've had a 4 slicer.
It is a shame that it's not that it's completely unwatchable, but yes, knowing the ending of this movie changes it drastically for those multiple watches. I feel like unlike some of those movies, like you brought up, like Shutter Island and Inception, some of these movies where you want to watch a couple of times to catch all of the small nuances that happen. This one's not as complicated. It's way more cut and dry.
Yeah, it's very... simple isn't the right word, but it is very simple compared to some of these other thrillers that are out there. And I mean, I'll be honest, it has been a couple years since I've watched it, and I was like, I watched half of the movie, and then it was getting past my bedtime, so I had to go, turn it off and take a snooze, and then I watched the other half the next night, and I was actually thinking about it, and I was like, well, wait, who killed the girl? And then I was like, wait a minute, you drank too much beer. It was you kid. And so, like, I was questioning myself, like, well, I don't remember who killed him, but then I was like, wait a minute, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. And then I really didn't even want to finish the movie after that, but I did.
Well, if we throw my 5, JJ's 5.5, and Steve's 4 into our too much slice meter, we open up this huge library of movies. This is our 38th movie, by the way, fellas.
Ooh.
But this movie is going to fall in the 24th position, tied actually with Austin Power Goldmember, and The Mummy. Oh shit, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is a quadruple tie here. Just as good as all of those movies, not quite as good as Unbreakable or White Men Can't Jump, but better than I Am Legend and Law Abiding Citizen.
That's tough. That's tough.
By decimals. Like, it's essentially a pepperoni better than these movies. Like, not that much better, but this is a loaded pepperoni slice is what we're looking at here.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
It's a fair score though, I think.
Fair score.
We got a lot right in there in that 4. It's crazy that most of our 4 slice movies are 4.83. It's wild.
That is wild. Holy shit.
The combination's pretty good with that. Damn, that's wild.
I mean,
well, guys, we ready
when
to
it
wrap
comes
up?
down to it, though, it's better than The Fly.
This is true. I almost feel bad that Enter the Dragon
I don't think
is
so.
less than The Fly. Because The Fly, I think, is the worst movie we've done.
Oh my gosh.
I'd watch Nightmare on Elm Street before I watched The Fly.
The Fly is a great movie.
Steve,
Great
sorry, your
movie.
microphone fucked up. It missed the word not.
Man, you guys are so terrible. You gotta
So right.
watch.
Yeah, I know.
I want to know what your dad says about these movies, JJ. You keep talking about that, but yeah.
I'll ask him. Don't worry.
Papa Johnson.
That's right. I want to see Papa Johnson. You gotta like talk about Commando, The Last, all these different movies. I want to hear it.
Well, everybody, thanks
I'll
for
ask.
jumping in. Follow us, subscribe, give us a like. YouTube,
I missed this
Apple.
song, Brian.
We didn't have a Mystic River outro, so we're sticking